What's up, guys? Welcome to Purgatory. Well, we did the whole drop and then some. We're actually under 6,900, so I don't I don't know what more you could want. Slip 90, maybe. Vol's still up pretty substantially from Friday. Hmm. Looks like we're pushing. There's not much snow left outside. It's mostly gone already. About 68.80. Sure, but why not? Mm. Rolo. Hmm. Ugh. Do. Hey, tiny bounce. I mean, it's just a tiny bounce. Isn't bullish? No, back above 6,900 probably would be a little, but I think I don't know. I feel like the fact that we tested 6,900 and then failed it is not a great sign for the bulls. Things don't look great going into today for them anyway, so. Mm. Does your family like to sell vol? No, not well, at least not during the holidays. If I get support here, it seems pretty easy to bounce back to 69. Although there's quite a bit of gamma below us. Premiums are a little elevated, but it doesn't look like they're getting sold very heavily. A little bit, a little bit right at the bottom of the drop. There was some pit selling, but it's kind of petered out since then, which makes this bounce look kind of weak. Your family like to sell vol? Wait, hmm. All right. Pulling back to gamma neutral would be fun. got some sold puts here at 90 and 85, and then down at 75, 70. So could maybe squeeze shit off. Bulls are selling the 80 put right now, but puts are getting bought. 6,900, 6,995, 6,985. See if they get a handle on this, I guess. Not great so far. There's a little bit of call buying going on at 6,900. More puts coming in at 85. So some of the short puts getting bought back. 90s getting sold. Ooh, someone got some way out of the money puts, or bought back some way out of the money puts. 95, 6,800. Someone picked about up like 360 at each of those strikes. So probably bought to close. Happy Festivus to you too, Dave. She got a little bounce. Slight continuation. Fuck. Thanks, man. I gave pizza to a lady who probably uses and is named Crystal, and she yelled at me. Wait, hold on. Why did you give her, what was the situation in which you had to provide Crystal with pizza? Were, were you being like a nice guy, or were you, was it like a services rendered type situation? Market did the opposite of what everyone thought. GG. I don't know. Kind of thought it would go down today. Kind of thought it would go down on Friday, too. It pinged right off of Gamma Max. It was Sabara's. Alright, well, that's valid, then. Was downtown near a restaurant? She was doing the my family's going hungry, can I have money thing. So I was like, oh man, that's rough. What's your kid's favorite food? She said pizza. Oh, I see. I see what you've gotten yourself into here. And by pizza, she meant cash. My Twitter feed is nothing but meanwhile Erica Kirk tweets, and I don't know how to stop it. Could, I don't know either. My entire Twitter feed is like Asian street food videos and like DIY hacks that make no sense. Like, you know, the ones where people put in like 10 times the effort to do something simple, but they did it in a weird way. So much hot glue. Oh my god. How do I get your feed? I go on like Twitter every like 40 days and then be disappointed. So I did the thing, half expecting the outcome, but after she was like, I need money to get their favorite kind, I was kind of like, look, if you get caked up, you can be your own dowry. And she looked confused. It's hard to get caked up when you're on the rock. Whatever happened to Sean Connery? Huh. I mean, he's dead. I know that. Is he? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he must be. He died like on one of our first stream days. And the place was like so full of people from Reddit that everyone was just really angry about him. That's on the massive rise, then drop in silver. Well, everyone bought in Friday because they missed out on the run on gold. So they got fucked. which is, yeah, that's usually what happens. Look at me not tracking celebrity deaths. Good on you, Jen Jen. I'm happy that this place has brought you more meaning. When Lonzo write up, they don't make money yet. What do you? Why is everyone? Why is everyone so impatient? Did the stock go up or something? It's back at $13. Thanks for taking credit for that. Yeah, it was easy. Ooh, look at us on our way back to 6,900. Is this the bounce that I warned everyone of? Hmm. Is there anything else exciting going on today? What's going on with everything's down, right? But what's down the most? Tesla, Nvidia, Caterpillar? Ooh, the banks are getting slammed. Because we're in a market where as soon as they do make money, they'll get the next 50 years of profit priced in 1 minute. Yes. I want to check on the Houston Wade controversy. Why? I don't want to talk about that fucking guy. And now a large portion of the community believe his sting was a setup. Those people are, I mean, they follow Houston Wade. What? What do you? I just miss the days when you did single equity write-ups. Well, usually I do like a stream for those on the weekend. Like I did that last weekend. People seem to like that. That was the goal anyway. That way I could cover more equities and equities people were interested in. Although it tends to just be a repeat list of equities that I'd looked at in the past. The pickle jar has a hard time finding new stocks. Despite me building them a bunch of scanning tools. What Houston Wade sting is that? Oh, Houston Wade tried to bang a minor. I wasn't. I mean, yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't surprised. I had a reel on Facebook pop up of trades waiting tables at Texas Roadhouse. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, I'm still here. Remember when I went on my big rant about finfluencers? And I said they would all just. Which one? Alright, fair. Funny how that works. The guy who's still here was the only guy who actually knew what he was talking about. You can glaze me more. There's another side to this donut. Don't get carried away. Each donut has two sides, but you only put glaze on one. Mmm. Release the Houston Wade files. Waffle oatmeal netted Air Max breakfast scented moonwalk. What? Is that a goat? Or a cow with a crown? What's up, J-Car? Seamel's un-American with a comment like that. Yeah, who the fuck glazes one side of a donut? I mean, frosted, sure, but glaze? It's fucking insane. You dip the whole thing in. No, we're not blending fucking donuts. Was like, who the fuck? Me the fuck? Oatmeal netted Air Max, breakfast scented moonwalk? Pi Phi 2025. Well, now I have in fact said it. So it is also a true quote. Andrew Mo Money? I thought he like fed his dog to death and then had to stop streaming before, I don't know, the animal police? Is that a thing? Came to get him? Maybe. Mm. What about fucking Matt Kors? What do you do? Do you turn into like a crypto trader when that went up? That's got to be like a thing. Prop trading, I think. I saw him in a video saying he blew up. How the fuck do you blow up prop trading? Can you turn this channel into a React channel where you watch the stock of the past day, but with loud music and constantly saying, yo, chat? No. He blew up his own money in a. Wait, he blew up his own money prop trading? Maybe he pretends to trade? No, no, I just remember being really bad at it. I don't think there was any pretending. Andrew Mo Money had 9 streams of income. Wait, what were they? I refuse to believe that. I only have like 6. 9 Patreons? Oh. That's different. I don't have any merch. You know why? Because I don't want to make merch to sell to 20 people. That seems insanely stupid. No, I'm just kidding. There's still like almost 1,000 of you. The sycophant here. There's some put buying coming in. I wonder if we fail this. I make money using GS. Yeah, I made an options data platform instead. That seemed way better. Astro? Oh, was that the guy that had that fucking like the sling blade hick on his stream? They were talking about the order, like the order flow. Ha! And fractals. Oh, but a dumb fucks. Would you sell Fubo puts below 250? Hmm. That's a good question. I would sell them under 230. The only reason I specify that is because when you say 250, I'm thinking that you want to sell the 250 put. I wouldn't do that. Hmm. Starting to get some call buying up around 69.10, 15. Still puts at 68.90. You're picking up. So bulls might try to push out above 6,900. 69.15 would be a good closing price for the day. Back to that like upside pile of gamma out on the longer expiration. I noticed SPX is not too far off GM on the SPXW chain. I was looking at bear call spreads, 2-1 risk reward. Any thoughts? How many days out are you thinking? The test of Gamma Max last week would have been a great fucking time to sell them. I would be careful with weekly Gamma Max, though. It tends to shift very quickly. If you're trying to sell calls out above Gamma Max, it tends to be better to sell. It tends to be better to sell the ones out above like the monthly contract GM, not the weekly. Because the weekly Gamma Max, especially when you're close to it, can be pretty volatile. Um, yeah, it's like 69.70 right now. I would be somewhat cautious of selling those. I mean, shorter term, they would be relatively safer, but I don't know what strike were you thinking, like 7,000 or something. Somewhere around that. What's the return on those? What size spread? Like the Jan 16 AM is 18 DTE, and the 7,000 like 725 is like 39% on risk. Which isn't too bad. What's GM for SPX? It's higher. That's where the collar is too, so there's a little bit of. Ooh, the collar is gonna roll and we're under it. Unless bulls really step their game up over the next couple days. If it made a run, I'd likely roll up, increase lot size. Okay, so you're planning on like dynamically trading GM? I don't I don't hate it. I don't know if I'd go out 14 days. Maybe I'd sell like the ninth or something. And like a bit above GM. So if we start pushing up hard off of today's failure, um, then Gamma Max is gonna contract. It's gonna pull towards spot. So you don't have to be like too far above it. The 69.75 7,000 C for Jan 9th is 36% on risk, which isn't too bad. Break evens above Gamma Max too. Break evens at 69.81. So fairly well above Gamma Max. But I wonder if you tighten that if the risk reward gets better. Not much. Yeah, I don't hate it. Keep an eye on skew and the like 10-day skew. How do you prefer the wider spreads? You realize profit faster. They're less. They're less insulated from the near-term returns. I don't like five wides. Not especially not longer dated. You have like almost no volatility exposure that way. Hey, there's 6,900. We did it. But there's no way to convert Counter-Strike cases to real money. Thank you so much, DoorDash. If you're underwater on CCs on a stock that's running, are you more inclined to get exercised and look to re-enter, or just close and sell weekly or bi-weekly? I mean, it depends. You could just buy a call and hedge your upside if you think like your covered call is going to get breached. Um, and then like your assignment on the underlying plus your like new call can either roll it into new shares slightly above where you got assigned, or you can just take profit from both the bot call and the assignment depending on cost basis versus where you sell. You can roll out, but I mean, you only want to do that if you're positive that like the move's not durable. Yeah, this week will probably be boring until end of month. I mean, last night's overnight move was at least interesting. I think VWAP's VWAP's up at like 69.52 on ES. Or testing it now on SPX, like 69.01. I figured if we lost 6,900 at any point today, we would get a lot of put selling, and we did. It was it was kind of a given. It's been pretty much nonstop since about like 12:40, right around there. Well, heavier there. I guess we got a burst of it here. Oh, like right here. We got a little burst. That first bottom that kind of looked like it might fail. And then we got like another we got some call buying and then another round of put selling. But we might see some of those calls take profits now. And that could just lead to more chop. There's lots. Really? Interesting. What's up, Spook? How you doing, man? No, it wasn't Hawkish Palace. At least I don't think. Gamma flip? No, no, we'd have to pull back under like 69, probably like 69.80, 68.98 for this to be considered like a rejection, at least a true rejection. Right now, still kind of looks like delta and gamma are climbing, so probably some upside pressure. There's bot calls out at 69.15. There's some bot puts at 69.05. So I would say if bulls can get this and get, positive gamma back on the chain, they can probably push out to 10 or 15 for the day. There's not much reason for them to try to push. I don't think higher than that. But well, yeah, VWAPs generally like the point of mean reversion, right? So everybody who's playing the counter trend, they're probably profit taking on tests of VWAP. That's why you get so much price action around VWAP that's, mean reverting. But sometimes you stay to the downside of it, sometimes you stay to the upside of it. It really depends on how people positioned for the day. I didn't know that. Maybe there's not a lot of options in the US. It used to be really hard to get rid of skins for cash. I had a few friends that no lifed CS. It was difficult to convert it over. Well, it wasn't, and then it was very difficult for a while. When are we getting our next rate cut? I don't see why we would with GDP at 4.6%. 2027? We're gonna price in 50 fucking rate cuts before then, though. They're not gonna price themselves in. It's true. Bum, 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 bum. Trump's live with the other war crime expert. Ooh, exciting.
I don't think it can be better. We just won a big war together. You know, if we didn't beat Iran, you wouldn't have had peace in the Middle East because nobody would have been able, the Arab countries who have been fantastic, would not have been able to make a deal. If we didn't wipe out their nuclear, we wiped it out. If we didn't wipe out with our beautiful B-2 bombers, if we didn't, and we sent a lot of Tomahawks in there also, by the way, from a submarine.
And what about the pardon that the president gives the prime minister?
A pardon?
Pardon.
I think he will. How do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? You know, I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and it's on. I mean, he tells me it's on its way.
Mr.
You can't do better than that, right? Please.
Mr. President, can I follow up on Venezuela? Was the facility taken out by the U.S. military, or was it another entity like the CIA?
Well, I don't want to say that. I know exactly who it was, but I don't want to say who it was. But you know, it was along the shore.
Mr. President, have you or anyone in your administration talked to Maduro in recent days?
Well, I spoke to him.
Recently?
Pretty recent. But nothing much comes of it. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you explain the importance?
You have to understand what he's done. They've sent billions of dollars of drugs in. But maybe just as bad, they've sent hundreds of thousands of people in from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions and insane asylums. the drug lords, the drug dealers were all sent into our country. But think of it, what he's done. Tren de Aragua, probably the worst gang. They cut off people's fingers. One man made a phone call to complain about them. They cut off their hand. They cut off his hand. Don't ever make a phone call again. We'll cut off your other hand. After that, we'll kill you, they said. That was in Colorado. No, they sent in all of the bad ones. They sent in some bad people. And that to me was just terrible. And they send in drugs. Now, I will say this. 97% of the drugs coming in by sea stopped. We're trying to figure out who the other 3% are. They have a hard time getting people to pilot those boats. But 97% of the drugs coming in by the ocean, by the sea, by water, are gone. Every boat that we take out, we save 25,000 lives of Americans. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you. We're going to have a big meeting, and we'll see you in a couple of hours if you'd like. And if you'd like, you can come up and have lunch like you did yesterday. Would you like that or not? Do you want that? Because some of them think it's terrible. It's a bribe. But, you know, a bribe for $25, I don't know. If you'd like, you can go. And if you don't, you can stand in a driveway and melt. All right? But if you want, will you work on that, Margot? Is Margot doing a good job? She's a star. She's too nice. Her only problem is she's too nice to you. And you're not nice to us, but that's okay. Margot, take them up and have a beautiful lunch, and we'll see you later.
Are you worried that the alleged strike on Putin's residence could scuttle the peace?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, you know, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, you know, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they were offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it. Please. What? Well, it came out, well, we'll find out. I mean, you're saying maybe the attack didn't take place. It's possible too, I guess. But President Putin told me this morning it did.
One question, Mr. President. Can you expound on the important...
I love how we're getting our Russian intelligence directly from Russia.
You call President Trump the strongest friend for the state of Israel. You work with numerous administrations, numerous presidents. Can you expound on that and what makes President Trump such a strong friend?
Why don't you go first?
I'll say it again and again and again. We've never had a friend like President Trump in the White House. It's not even close. And I think you can judge that by not merely by the frequency of our meetings, but by the content and the intensity. I think Israel is very blessed to have President Trump leading the United States, and I'll say leading the free world at this time. I think it's not merely Israel's great fortune. I think it's the world's great fortune.
Well, I just want to say that it's very important who the Prime Minister and President of Israel is. We have a great relationship. It was an honor to speak before your leaders. That was a great honor for me. I think it has not happened before, or something they told me. But the relationship's been extraordinary, and Bibi's a strong man. He can be very difficult on occasion, but you need a strong man. If you had a weak man, you wouldn't have Israel right now. Israel would have been, you know, Israel with most other leaders would not exist today. They would not exist. And now they're stronger than ever. Yeah, please.
Are you going to ask Netanyahu to sign this agreement with Syria?
Well, I hope he's going to get along with Syria, because the new president of Syria is working very hard to do a good job. He really is. I know he's a tough cookie, and he's, you know, you're not going to get a choir boy to lead Syria. That's the one thing I would say. So I hope they're going to get along, because, you know, I dropped the sanctions on Syria because otherwise they wouldn't have had a chance. We want to see Syria survive. So we're going to be talking about Syria too. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. Go have a good lunch.
Prime Minister Netanyahu,
Thank
there's
you.
a lot of facts regarding
You know, after you hear these things, I think better to quit now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was fucking useless. Benjamin Netanyahu. Or you're talking about the orange guy. I don't know who he is. The last time they had a big meeting together, I named the stream Bibibab, and no one got it. It was a great joke. I think your GS is frozen. Oh shit. Is it? I think maybe I just had another because I opened the YouTube window. Fans could talk to you. Think they would say anything interesting? No, no, I don't. The Fed is simply providing liquidity to the system. Can't let the bank's basis trades blow up. Mm. I think silver base is short squeezed. My boredom from this market recently is immeasurable. Kind of sucks that all the downside was overnight. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. Maybe some people caught like the bounce here. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but I find this environment so much easier to trade. Just can't get greedy. Mm, I prefer a little bit more realized volatility, but options are cheap, so that's nice. Everyone was sick during Xmas, so the amoxicillin is slowing more than the red wine. It was a weird one. That does sound weird. I thought pinging off of Gamma Max was pretty fucking awesome last week. We've gone mostly down since then. No, Gamma Max is like $30 below the collar right now. Is there a way to calculate the expected move for tomorrow? Sure. There's several formulas you can use. You can use like the at the money straddle, or you could use like IV VIX. Provided the pricing from your broker is accurate. Yes. %of credit card holders are making minimum payments only. That's scary. That's a lot, yeah. There was a lot of speculation that like a big GSIB got margin called on silver last Friday. I kind of tried to put together like a model last night of what, since I was up until like 7 in the morning. Well, I guess it was just this morning of like cumulative carry cost on the yen dollar carry, and then using like XAG USD, like the silver US dollar, to as like risk parameter. Um, And it seems like, at least today, longs are getting squeezed and leverage is normalizing. So, like, the carry margin cost is dropping today pretty substantially. But it peaked at like, it was like negative fucking 15.955%. Yeah, I'll show you. So this is like the cumulative cost of carry margin. And then if you look like from like September 3rd on, it was increasing pretty substantially into like October 16th. And if you look at silver, let's go down to the daily. October 16th is right about before it sold off. Same thing here yesterday. We got like a bunch of easing and so I mean, some of the leverage grabbed from the carry has been being used to short silver. I don't know how indicative this is of like how much leverage, but it does give you like some insight into the effect of silver price. I mean, gold is probably far more substantial. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of correlation. The red line is like per data point carry cost. So if that's positive, like margins are getting squeezed. But they should snap back now that the the haircut from silver is falling negative. Which is, the move we're getting to the downside now. So yeah, like a little squeeze and then breaking down. Except that little squeeze was actually quite big. Because if you look at it relative to the haircut performance of silver in the past, it's substantially larger. They can't. So China's imposing export restrictions on silver in the next couple of days, which might mean that there's like a good opportunity to dip buy silver if that goes through. They're gonna probably argue that the U.S. attacks on Venezuela are a breach of the current trade agreement between the two countries. What's interesting though is if they do cut off the supply of physical silver and people exercise it, it's really not silver that's gonna run so much as it's the dollar that's gonna crash. Did JFresh give you any new models for Christmas? No, my birthday, but we're working on implementing it. I'm not using volume on silver. I'm using the PNL from the carry. So I'm just using silver as like basically like a risk layer. How much does realized volatility on silver affect the carry, like the carry margin? Okay. It's not a very complex model, but I just wanted some insight into like how important silver is relative to like global banking and FX markets. Meh. I know the cumulative looks super blown out, but that I would say that's probably mm, more relevant if it collapses, like what we saw in 2020, like here. Although there is a fairly interesting tie-in with obviously with the carry leverage and index volatility, right? But not a lot of not so much silver. I mean, silver like a little bit. Bounce here. I don't know. We could probably get back down to 95. This is kind of bleeding a bit. Give me 1 second. All right. I don't think the BOJ is very interested in silver. I think that might be the problem with silver as the risk metric versus gold is most central banks, ones that aren't embargoed in any way, are going to be focused on the gold dollar trade, not fucking silver dollar trade. I think what we're seeing in gold is a lot of like Russia. JPM's probably just like fucked on the carry, and there's no guarantee it's even JPM. Again, no source, no valid source for that speculation. Do you think we push up overnight? I wouldn't say we're building like a super strong sold put base here, but probably strong enough to hold us through data and end of month on Wednesday. I mean, we have like a 17%, well, not 17% anymore, but 16% up here. There's going to be a lot of like 60-40 fund selling into Wednesday. Wednesday's not a half day either. It's a full trading session. So I think like anywhere from like I did the math last night. Well, rough math last night, like 79. Like for US equities, I kind of just estimated it, but the total is like 222 billion. So like it was like 80 to 117 billion in US equity to bond conversion for window dressing. So sell equity sell. But I mean, the thing about that is that tends to mean revert, right? Because people buy winners to make their books look better. So what you tend to get is like a lot of selling and like smaller market cap companies simultaneous to a lot of buying and in like mega caps. And that may have already started. I'm sure because of the holiday settlement, they'll want to get a lot of that selling done in the early part of this week rather than trying to do it all in one day. Give me a second. I'll be right back. The scammers on copy trading? Probably, yeah. I mean, the Russian central bank's the only like big buyer of gold or of silver that we've seen from a at least large sovereign buyer. But that could be something that's like orchestrated between Russia and China. Do we want to get like real conspiratorial? Russia is the fifth largest silver producer. China is the second largest, I think, after Mexico. And then China and Russia are the world's largest gold producers. So if you wanted to create a significant amount of worry in the US dollar, you would just simply take away central banks' ability to hedge the dollar by removing the ability for traders to convert paper to physical. I'd be like an economic nuclear bomb. Silver would be the small explosion that sets off the big one, which would be gold. Mm. Well, oil's dollar denominated. ETFs would collapse, yeah. I think that's like the least terrible thing that would come from that. It's traded in barrels. Economic nukes still follow mad principles? No, they don't. How? In what way? I mean, we would retaliate probably physically, but in a purely economic scope, there would be no feasible retaliation. The damage would already be done. Yes, that's accurate. We would cut off all shipments of critical U.S. supplies. Oh, what are those? Didn't we just have this discussion when China was like, well, what if we embargo you? No more Levi's for Russia? The soybeans that we had to negotiate them buying? They have their own oil. Imagine working on a Chinese oil rig. I mean, it makes sense for China and Russia to restrict access to like monetary metals after accumulating large stockpiles of them, because it gives them economic, well, yeah, it gives them economic and political leverage. So the next step would be export controls on gold. And then I would probably watch the front end very, very closely. If the cost of like short-term capital were to spike sharply, that could be a very good indicator. You'd probably see the back end yields fall. Ultimately, the US has one thing that China really, really doesn't want to lose. You know what that thing is? The consumers. They wouldn't lose them. They would just have to pay more money. And technically, China already agreed to no export controls as part of the trade agreement with Trump. So they were simply biding time until they had amassed large enough stockpiles of silver to impose export controls on it. And they can bring back the export controls that they promised the first time around because now the deal would be defunct. So, I mean, basically blatantly announcing a 3-day window till they scrap the U.S. trade deal. Which I said, when we made the fucking trade deal, China had nothing to lose. They still don't. You should have had a Sunday stream on this. I was busy. It's okay since it's the holidays. We forgive you. Thanks. That's what I needed, was forgiveness. Whew. It's a big weight off my shoulders. It's okay. Seaweed already did. That's how forgiveness works. Popcorn. You only need one. Hmm. Seems like 9 or 10 or 9:15 is possible. JPM collar rolls end of month. So New Year's Eve. Is JPM so big that if they bought into close, it would melt up? Like the index? I mean, yeah, they could effectuate that. That's I don't even think it takes someone that big to pull that off. So a lot of leverage. JPM absolutely has that kind of leverage. Or mop, yeah, especially after the potential Fed bailout. Why? What's wrong, La Flama? All right, let's see where we're going. Ew. So bot puts to the upside, small pile of them at 69.05, a few more at 69.10. Some of the 69.15 calls look like they're buying to close. But I'm not seeing a lot of put selling. At least not near the money. Down at 68.90, there's some. That's pretty far away from spot right now. More bot puts, 6,900, 6,895 coming in. Bot calls at 6,905. But there's some sold puts. Okay. Maybe we get the push out to 10 here. Bot calls at 10, 15, 20. Big bot calls at 20. Delta moved a little bit positive. Although it's kind of flattening out on the shorter time frame. Fuck was that? Call premium's not dropping that much. They're selling a lot of puts at 905, buying calls all the way out to 25. So upside pressure on the sold call position. Ten's kind of a sticking point though. It'll be hard to push over 10. Hmm. This is gonna get fucked. Let's see. Oh, they bought so many 6920 calls. 1,800 of them? That would push us back like towards the implied move. Still gonna be hard to get over 10. There's a synthetic short here. If it squeezes, very bullish, but did you buy puts when we touched GM last week? No, but I sold some call spreads. I don't think there's a chance of. I don't think there's a chance of squeezing 10. That's measurable as a percentage. At least not with the data I'm looking at. 50-50? Can you explain why selling greater than 5-point wide SPX bear calls is advantageous? It can be advantageous if you expect like a rapid drop or like a hard rejection. Because you have more exposure to the shift in volatility and then the price action. The wider spread makes it behave closer to a naked call versus a tight spread where most of the price action is hedged off and you're mainly profiting from theta. So if you're using a short spread and to trade price action, right? Like you don't expect just flat. You expect the down or up condition that would also be profitable. Then the wider the spread, the more it'll benefit from that. Hey, they did it. They broke almost. Well, we're testing the synthetic short. Now they broke it. There we go. Still looks like bulls are gonna push for 20. Which is probably about the high for the day. $25's not impossible, technically. Be weird, but yeah, I think it'd be quite difficult to get above 25. And then if we don't breach 10 on this test, charm can flip back towards negative, which would be rough for the bulls to recover any ground for the day. So ooh, we're getting there. A little bit of profit taking, but not enough. A lot of sold puts at 69.05. synthetic short at 69.10s and still in place, but it's breached. So yeah, I don't see a lot of reasons we can't do 20. What did I put for close for today? Like 22 or something? 15? Might be a bit much. New Dow slipped. The fall on the day is down, VIX is up. So VX down, VIX up. XGJ. Bonds are still red. Or yields. Are we bullish? Bulls are really trying for 20, but they've got a bit of a hiccup at 10. So I would say because it's power hour, if bulls can't hold 10, they run the risk of charm slipping negative on a rejection, possibly before they can recover. I'd still want to see like delta flip negative to confirm that, but yeah, that's a possibility. How would I give away a pontiff? It's crazy talk. Oh, I think I was building a support just going for 450 in the next week or two. I didn't see any support building, but it filled the gap, right? 63, yeah. 450 is probably like the next logical target to the downside, or 440. You can take a look at it. I mean, gamma neutral's all the way back at 400. It's a little support at 30. Somewhere around like 720 million gamma on the chance of $200 million falling off today. IV on the 10 day is still a little bit low relative to the implied move, so I would say it still has a little bit more room it can fall. Four and a half percent. See, there's some call selling. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's the bearishness is. I mean, I don't know. This is last Friday's data, so obviously, almost down 2.5% today. Some of this is already realized, but there's definitely room to keep sliding. 440, 450 is about where gamma starts to flatten a little. It's more supportive. Maybe we 30K once. I got married young and we got divorced. 1010 would do it again though. She maxed out the crazy hot graph. First day back from her honeymoon, she looked at me dead to rights and proclaimed she was a prophet of the Lord Almighty and knew what he wanted for our lives. Ugh. Religious people always freak me out. I trust them less than I trust happy people. Did the Gex for 6910 just collapse? A little bit. Yeah, looks like it. That level of religiousness would have been apparent before that moment, though. You'd think. Although, it's possible that he was just stupid. Or very young. I'll say very young. Blinded by the P? Yeah, yes. How many lumens was it? 300,000. But yes, you should probably pre-qualify if you're marrying a religious zealot. I think that might be the important lesson to take away from his $30,000 loss. At least ask, like, hey, are you a religious zealot? Can you talk about Fixie? I'm long it. I would like it to go up. I think Japan's going to probably keep hiking rates and normalize their rate against their 5-year forward swaps. And then if they do that, well, it'll be nice. I wonder if you get an annulment in a surprise zealot situation. That's a good question. Annulments really aren't that hard to get if both people agree. It generally has to be like a contentious break in order for them to be, well, not that. Divorce, I guess. Depends on the state, though. supported is this level? Pretty well. 1 second. Still didn't quite push back to the implied move. Does not look like we're going to fill the upside gap today, though. At least not with the current buying. There's still a decent amount of bot calls left out at 20. Put selling's not picking up on the 15 strike too much. I guess we'll see if that picks up here. Looks like mostly 15, 10, and 5 calls taking profit. Keep an eye on call premiums here, and remember falling back under 69.10 still bearish. Wouldn't fixie over 60? That rhymes. I don't know. Probably take some time. We haven't really seen any movement out of the dollar, and we've seen the yen only drop relative to the rate hike, so those are the best investments, the ones that rhyme. Did AMC ever go out of business? No. Oh, not yet. Damn, their shareholders really financed an extra like 4 years for them. 5 almost. I hope Adam Aaron gets his parachute. Almost. They were literal exit liquidity. Yeah. A lead parachute. Hmm. Hmm. What's the closing price guess? Um, I, I mean, 10 is the most likely closing price. The 10 and 15 puts are getting bought back pretty heavily. They're still selling the 905. So I would say somewhere between like 60, 6907 and 69 like 13. Some of the 20s are closing, but not all of them. Normally, shareholders fomenting it. What? You think we're gonna close at 7,000? It's a little ambitious. Mm. Yes? Oh, okay. Interesting. Um, it sounds like bullshit. If you do buy 7,000 calls, can you let me know how they turn out? They're currently the lowest price I think you can buy them for, so. Oops, someone's calling me. One sec. No. Cool. So you were up late, but it seemed like it was super late for you. Yeah, it was. I was up very late. I don't know. I couldn't sleep last night. I didn't get around to doing pickles picks till pretty fucking late because I kept putting it off because it was like a half week and there wasn't much to say. And then yeah, I was just having trouble sleeping. Usually I'm very good about getting my 3 to 4 hours. Anything planned for New Year's? Yep, that's the last like big fucking holiday thing I have to do. And then I'm done with the holidays. In fairness, I've been feeling kind of done with the holidays for a couple weeks now. Since Thanksgiving. Yeah. It feels like it's been just like non-stop since then. I'll be right about this closing price, and yet I did not open a condor on it. I have some 5 wide butterflies at 10. That's about it. They might print. New Year's resolutions are weird. Dollar is dying, but not fast enough. I have plenty of time. I have till June. Hmm. Did we get the 5 test? Almost. Squeeze it up. What, back to 10? I think we need an awful lot of put selling for that. Hmm. 12 more minutes. Close at 5 so I can get max profit on my IB. I sold like 2 hours ago. Okay. That's interesting. Hmm. Got rejected pretty sharply. Bleeding off into 5 a little bit here. Getting a turnaround and call buying. Charms crushing shit. Interesting. Wonder if we sell off. Charm's just a little bit negative here. Hmm. I wanted to close at 69.07, which is what I said. 5 minutes? Who would bother watching SPX these days? Because it's still more fun than watching GME. Don't forget that we spent 2 years doing that. I'll never find out what 741 means. Yeah, nothing. Ooh, Tesla lost 460. When is GME getting spicy again? Not now. It actually kind of looks primed to finally fall below 20. $741 years to profitability. They're already profitable. They just have a shit business model that no one cares about. Oh, and their stores are garbage. You know, other than that, they're doing fine. Mostly. Congratulations. You kept those? A lot of people cringe hard anytime they see or think of GameStop. Fortunately, all the ones around me closed, so I don't have to. I don't have to worry about it. There's this Japanese company called Pickles Holdings Co. Limited that had earnings today, and their logo is an eggplant. I thought I'd let you. I thought I'd tell you that. Oh shit! Well, I found our next investment. They do. They just buy them off the internet like other people do. I'm so mad I was right about closing price and I didn't condor it. Yeah. They ripped you off, Gherk. That's okay. They've probably been around for like 500 years, like every other Japanese company. No, we're talking about Pickles Holding Co. I don't give a shit about GameStop. Oh shit. They're killing it too. They must have had good earnings. Consumer non-durables, specialty foods and candy. Oh my god, it's the Japanese fucking Tootsie Roll. Engages in the management of its group of companies that deals mainly in the manufacture and sale of pickled vegetables and side dishes. The company was established September 2022. They did rip me off. Will be headquartered in Tokorozawa, Japan. Motherfuckers. I mean, I still want to invest heavily. They've been killing it since April. It's up 60%. Cease and desist them? Get a collab going? Perfect. Wow. Really, they really just couldn't fucking pull off 6907, could they? What a bunch of limp dick fucks. Alright. Anyway, let's do this. All right, so we closed at the bottom of the implied move for the day. Down, well, actually, down a little from the bottom of the implied move for the day at 6905, settling around that big, well, just above that big pile of gamma that's dated a little further out. We'll see if there's any erosion in that positioning tonight. But ES retested 6963, which was the confirmation level for a failure. And then that got rejected. So we'd be looking for a new low, 6936 in the overnight session to confirm continued downside. However, this whole trend doesn't actually break down unless we lose 6917. So this consolidation's still bullish for now. So keep that in mind, especially going into tomorrow where we have a bunch of data and all of that data prior to the FOMC minutes and end of month. I could see bulls pushing for a mean reversion back at like ES 6980 before we get into the middle of the week. So yeah, be a little cautious of that. They did build up some sold put support today, and volatility in the short term at least rose enough that there was some intraday positive carry on the short vol position. So we definitely got some sellers, just maybe not enough to stop the rejection that we've been on since testing Gamma Max on Friday morning. Yields across the curve coming down, and this might be what I was talking about last night, where we're seeing about 100-ish billion dollars worth of equity to bond conversion. But we are seeing the front end light up a little bit in the 6 month. 3 month is kind of flat, but the 6 month being up today is somewhat interesting. Obviously, both are above the federal fund rate by about point 0.1. So that's a little bit interesting. Obviously, the silver and gold squeeze. No, gold wasn't squeezing, but silver squeeze to the upside's pretty dead, pulling back 8.5% today, which I don't think is the low, but it definitely got battered a bit. Copper also down. Oil rebounding on that drop, probably helping stabilize commodities a little bit. Yeah, overall commodities only down 1.69% on the day, even with the loss in precious metals. And then correlation on the 1 month starting to turn around a little, but lower than last Monday. Or wait, lower than earlier today, but turning around into close. 3 month correlation, same. Those may be starting to bottom out. This divergence in the front end vol is probably not going to persist very long. They usually don't. And so we might see volatility on the front move up rapidly. If it does, then we're going to continue to get downside here. Bond volatility picked up a tiny bit last week, not much. Leverage on the carry trade starting to fall off a bit. And we're seeing that come alongside a slight improvement in the forward yield on volatility and a push up in the 10-2 year. So forward yield on vol back up to negative 14%. And this new chart on here is kind of like intraday carry requirements, and then cumulative cost to carry on the carry trade, but with a haircut parameter for silver risk. And this is kind of showing that there was a little bit of squeezing going on due to silver. That's flipped back the other way, and margin requirements are declining rapidly, and that's what you'd expect. So, at least functionally, the tool seems to be working. But with an 8.5% decline today, I would have honestly expected carry requirements or like margin requirements to have eroded a little bit more than they did. So it's still fairly high there. Skew snap back down on Friday. And we'll see what happens today. Probably flattish. We've got breadth widening a little bit, with 20-day movers falling off a little faster. Russell and Dow down today a bit more, and NQ as well. Actually, ES performing the best of the major indexes. Fed fund futures are pricing in still slightly more rate cuts, but we'll get more data, like actual data, tomorrow. The 210, it's just around 0.65. VIX correlation continues to fall, and VX continues to fall. So the longer dated volatility really not doing much, and we're still seeing a little bit of selling out there where the positive carry is slightly better. Leverage flattened out today, after declining Wednesday through Friday of last week. We'll see if we get a continuation on that. SOFR IORB spread blew up big. SOFR moved up. Jesus. Is that right? Fuck. I wonder if that normalizes with silver today, because that's a significant divergence. SOFR above the standing repo facility rate at 3.76. Real-time SOFR, or proxy of real-time SOFR, is at about 3.8. So still maintaining a somewhat positive spread, but a huge spread on IORB. That's 11 points. That's fairly significant. If we continue to see that spread stay blown out, obviously we have end of month coming up here. But remember, this is with, what's interesting about this is with the Fed's The Fed's $40 billion a month in rollover, and we're still seeing this. So that's not a great sign, right? That means that their quote QE is bullshit, or at least insufficient to temper rates at the front end during the end of month settlement period. Now this is end of year. There's a lot more pressure. A better example would obviously be, like a monthly rollover away from the quarterly, but that is that is somewhat significant, I think. And we should probably continue to keep an eye on that. I mean, that is not easy to remove. I mean, that spread does make the short-term financing rough. That would explain why we're seeing the 6-month yield up so high, despite uh, despite yields on the rest of the curve moving down. We should probably continue to watch that in the overnight, and then also watch that tomorrow. If that spread continues to widen, it tends to be pretty bearish for price action. And then out here on the technical side of things, we failed the technical trend, falling below 69.20. We retested that level, rejected off of it again. So we have a failure of the trend, a retest of the trend, and a continued failure. So the next level we'll be looking at is 68.82. A failure there marks the beginning of an actual rejection to the downside, where we could see range down to 68.50, 23, or even like 6,800, which would be a test of the low of the trend. If the overall trend, this local trend fails, that reopens tests down at like 67.72, 65. So quite a ways to move if that continues to fall. The 200-day MA is still way the fuck out here at like 6,200. So there's obviously a way bigger pocket to the downside for price action than there is to the upside. Generally that effect is most pronounced when you see like VN and GM compress really, really tightly, which we saw last Friday, where we rejected off of what was Gamma Max and is now Vega neutral at the time, and then started to fall. Now, if we fall enough, like under 6,900, there's very little support between 6,900 and Gamma neutral on the monthly chain, or Delta neutral on the weekly. Oops. There we go. And then under that, big way down towards JPM long puts, which are about to be replaced. So put delta, or long put delta to the downside is probably going to roll up, because if we look at like 5% from spot right now on the JPM collar roll, we'd be looking at like those puts moving up towards like 65.60, 65.50, somewhere in that range, which will obviously put them a lot closer to spot, especially if we slip going into the end of the month. So we'll keep an eye on that, bringing the puts that much closer to spot with very little downside support and erosion of the sold put positioning that is currently supporting upside price action. Could both have a pretty detrimental effect, because the roll up in the long puts would probably be roughly on par with around where we see most of the current leverage. If we look here, yeah, most of the current leverage is right about 4.9% below spot. 4.1%. Yeah, I guess 4.9% below spot is kind of so that's gonna, when that collar rolls, it's gonna flatten that delta. that's in that range, and it makes it easier for us to slide down. It makes all of those sold puts a lot less supportive to a degree. I mean, obviously, it's not the end of the world, but it does shift the dynamics of spot support here. Anyway, that's it for the day. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Peace.